Alright guys, today we're going to do the third part of the rams. As you can see, I got a couple of them done here already. And I'll just stick those out of the way here. So what we're doing today is this back side of the ram. So we're doing the 7/16 thread. We're going to ream this to 380, which I know is going to be a good size for the O-rings that we're going to fit in. And we're going to put a O-ring countersink here. And the minor diameter of the thread and a little bit of profiling. So this is going to be a pretty easy one. This is nothing you haven't seen already, but I'm just going to go through it real quick again in case anybody else missed it or didn't want to watch that full video. So I'm going to go to File, going to go to Edit G-Code, and the first thing we're going to do is ream this out. So I use the wizards to make a drilling code, but I found that it seems to be better to feed both in and out of this part. So I just got it going at 1000 RPM, 10 inches per revolution, and I got it going all the way to depth, which is 1.560. You can see that on the drawing right here. So that's the bottom edge of the drill. And that seems to work pretty good. I snuck up on it just to make sure on some of the earlier passes. I just snuck up on it so we didn't like crash anything. But it turned out good. We can go right to that size. It dwells for 1/4 of a second, and then we feed back out. And okay, so then this is just your basic boring G code generated by the wizard here. And so then we get all the way to the end here, and let's turn off autofocus. And when we get to the finished profile here, we just write our profile in manually. It's easier to just do it manually rather than try to emulate that with the conversational. Now we didn't use any tool radius compensation because, as you're going to see on the when I turn you over to the lathe here, we got some different kind of tools going on here. Okay, so let's go over to the lathe. So as you would expect, we got standard reamer, but then we got a 3/8 reground end mill. 3/8 reground end mill there that we're using as a boring bar. That's why I don't use any tool nose radius compensation, because that corner is sharp. And all you got to do to make sure that that's in the right orientation to be a boring bar is I got a height gauge, kind of like this thing here, with a piece of ceramic on the top of it. And I set this to a known good height off of like this tool here, my main tool, because I know that's on center. And then I can just, before I tighten this down, I can just put it over here and rotate it down until the cutting tip just barely touches, and then tighten it down, and that way I know that I'm at the right height. Okay, giving away all my secrets. Then we just got, this is just a micro ID threading tool. So this is what actually makes the threads in here. This one's set up here ready to go. So you're probably not going to be able to see much because these are all boring operations or ID operations, but I'll just go ahead and run the program for you, and you could see if you glean anything off of it. I'm going to try to get over here maybe. Okay. Alright, here we go. I moved you guys over a little bit so that surprisingly that sound doesn't make any difference on the finish of the ID. It's squealing a little bit there, but it doesn't seem to make any difference. A couple of them do that. But as I was saying, I moved you guys to the right a little bit so that hopefully you get a little bit less splashing. I'm using a pretty shallow first pass dimension, so we're taking a lot of little passes on the ID here. It's a relatively big thread for this kind of operation, at 20 threads per inch. So I just wanted to eliminate any deflection, cutter deflection or anything like that, and make sure that I get a good thread every time without having to go over the threads again for a second time like a skim pass. So lose a little bit of time there, but gain it and not having to run the whole program twice. Alright, and that's it. And once I take it out and blow the threads off, you get something that looks a lot like this. So these are the parts that we worked on before, a couple videos ago. And on the inside, we got a couple of short threads and a pretty good surface finish on the inside there, a nice reamed finish. And we're good to go. So we're ready to finish out this box of parts, and hopefully we'll get that done tonight before we go in for dinner. Alright guys, thanks a lot. See you later.